Hello, 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 and welcome to the Dangerously Divine podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Loren, feminine energy and magnetism life coach and Reiki healer. I'm thrilled to dive into today's transformative episode where we are focusing on something that is incredibly important for women in today's society, but also has been a reoccurring theme in my life. And that is embracing and loving the body that you were given. It is April when I'm recording this, so it's almost summertime, and I know a lot of us might be tempted to join a crash diet or to work out super hard. And while all of those things might sound healthy, anything that we go overboard with can turn detrimental really fast. So today we will discuss how to reframe your body image, cultivate unshakable body confidence, and truly build a foundation of body love from within. In our journey towards embodying our true selves, it is so vital that we fix our relationship with food, with nutrition, with working out, and with ourselves and this little meat suit that we were given. So we'll unpack all the strategies to heal, nourish, and really honor our bodies through mindfulness and holistic practices so that we can embody our highest level, most divine feminine selves. Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Becoming your healthiest self from the inside out. So today I will be sharing some empowering tips that will help you elevate your wellness journey. I will be supporting you in every step towards a healthy, more vibrant life, and hopefully helping you feel a little seen and a little heard throughout my own personal stories. So get ready to reclaim your confidence and step into your divine feminine power of body love. First off, before we start and get into the meatiness of today's episode, I'm absolutely thrilled to introduce you to my Align with Your Inner Goddess 7-day self-led program. This is the sponsor of today's episode. So picture this, 7 days of soulful exploration where you'll dive deep into the depths of your being and uncovering all of that sacred wisdom and power that resides within you. So if you've been looking for a program that maybe is an easy ask, this program is your personal invitation to embrace your divine feminine being and step into the fullest expression of who you're meant to be. And what I mean when I say is a small ask, this program is 7 days self-led. If you're a busy mom, if you work, this program is completely on your own time, so it's not a huge commitment like some of my other programs. It's a good taste of what is on the other side of being a feminine, radiant woman, and is a low investment at only $29. But why should you embark on this transformational adventure? Well, if you're listening to this podcast, probably means that you have an interest in becoming a more feminine woman and connecting with your own divine guidance and reclaiming your power. So if you have interest in any of that, this program is for you. There are self-love rituals, there are embodiment practices, and every day is designed to awaken your innate magnetism to infuse your life with purpose, passion, and pleasure. If you feel called to join this program, but $29 is a little bit too much of an investment for you, I do not want price to be the thing that holds you back from all of this power that you desire and that you know you have hiding deep within you. So with that said, please DM me on Instagram at I am dangerously divine. Tell me that you're interested in this program. Let me know that you want to start, but $29 is a little too steep for you, and I will give you a discount code just if you're listening to this podcast and just because you came and, stood up for yourself. And that's what being a feminine woman is all about. That is what reclaiming your power is all about. It's about taking up space. It's about asking others for help. It's about nurturing ourselves. So I'm so proud of you if you come to me and ask me for a little discount. I would be honored and thrilled to give it to you because I really want as many people in this transformational program as possible. It's truly time to start honoring that little goddess within you and embrace the magic of your divine essence, because you are infinitely powerful and divinely radiant. So if you want to embark on this journey together and awaken the goddess within you, I will link the website to sign up for this program, and you can join it for $29. Or you can DM me and I'll give you a little discount code for listening to this podcast and joining the program that way. So I hope with all of my heart that you will join me over there, because I want to see you succeed and I want to see you tap into who you were meant to be. Now, let's get into today's episode. Welcome to the Dangerously Divine podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Loren, entrepreneur, life coach, and your new spiritual bestie. We dive deep into all things feminine magnetism, mindset, and empowerment. Prepare to unlock your full potential and activate your feminine gifts. If you're an ambitious woman who's ready to stop playing small, step into your feminine power, and claim a life beyond your wildest dreams, then you're in the right place. So go ahead and turn up the volume. You're about to hear juicy stories, inspirational advice, and transformational tips that'll help you up-level your life and align with the divine goddess within you. More self-confidence, freedom, and abundance are all just a play away. Thank you for listening and enjoy this episode. So, as I mentioned before, today we're diving deep into the transformative journey of healing our relationships with our bodies. This episode is all about empowering you to transform your body image, build unshakable confidence, and embrace holistic health to help you tap into that divine feminine goddess energy that loves herself and is open to receiving. So first and foremost, I think it's important that I start with my story of how I've become so confident in my body, because it wasn't always that way. And I feel like nowadays there's always some kind of origin story to people not feeling the most confident. So I hope that by sharing my story, someone will be able to relate to it. And if not, then maybe someone will hopefully think twice about what they say to other people regarding their bodies and their body shapes. Growing up, I was always on the bigger side. I was the tallest one in all of my classes. I was a little bit heavier and chunkier than other kids, and was one of the first people in my class to hit puberty. So naturally, my body just always looked different than everyone else. Although I was never picked on by other children for my weight, I definitely remember feeling a lot bigger than everyone else. And looking back at this time, it might have been comments that my mother had made throughout my life. My mom has body dysmorphia, and sometimes her own insecurities or her negative relationship with food would sometimes rub off on me as a child. I can expand on that in a little while, but I would remember sucking in pictures with friends in like the third grade, or even bending, like crouching my knees a little bit when hugging friends or, taking group photos, just to appear shorter, like a similar size as everyone else. It was almost like from the very beginning, there was something instilled in my brain that I was different and that I wasn't allowed to take up as much space as everyone else. These insecurities became really obvious throughout grade school as kids were joining track and cheerleading and sports where people would use their bodies. I felt like I was just clunky and large, and A, couldn't use my bodies in that way, and B, would look silly if I tried to cheer or run or do any kind of physical activity, because I felt like an ogre. I was so much bigger than everyone else. Honestly, looking back at this time now, the only place that I felt really comfortable in my own skin was around my family. I come from a big Italian family, and most of my cousins are 6 foot and above, male, female. So they're taller and, just bigger boned people. And out of them, I felt small and felt like I had more freedom to really take up space around my family because I wasn't inconveniencing anyone by my size. I look back at some photos of myself during this time, and sure, I had, a little baby fat that was stuck on me, and maybe I was a little bit chunkier of a kid. But then throughout high school, I really wasn't that large. Once everyone had hit puberty and all the kids in our grade were around the same size, I still felt insecure. And I still felt that inner critic inside of me because I had just grown up as being a larger child, afraid to take up space. I felt like I had to do everything I could just to be skinny, to be accepted by my friends. I remember doing the lemonade diet, which is the master cleanse that was popularized by Beyonce, where for about 2 weeks, you only drink water, maple syrup, lemon, and cayenne pepper. And that mixture together is supposed to be like all the nutrients your body needs to survive, but really nothing more than that. I remember doing that for 2 weeks before prom. I remember being on hydroxycut and mixing the powder into my water bottle during fifth period. I remember when all of my friends would go to Taco Bell during lunch, I would go home and make tuna fish mixed with avocado. My negative body image came from a lot of different factors. As everyone started getting into their first high school relationships, everyone that was coupled up was a skinny girl. And I felt ugly and like no man in my, I can't call them men, like no boy in my high school wanted me because I was fatter. My negative body image also came from my mother, and we would eat salads every night for dinner. My mom never had snacks in the house. She was one of those people that if you wanted a snack, you would take a handful of almonds or you would have an apple. There was never any joy in eating. We only ate to sustain our bodies. And my negative body image also came from the media. This was back in the 2010s, and girls like Miley Cyrus were famous and only weighed 90 pounds. I'm going to just walk you through the rest of my life to catch you up to where I'm at now so that we can take off from here with how I've learned to embrace my body. But to get back to my story, I definitely remember gaining that freshman 15, my first year of college. I was a broke college student. I remember there were some nights where I would go down to the vending machine and have Fritos for dinner because I couldn't afford anything else. But that first kind of time on your own, they call it freshman 15, you gain 15 pounds just because it's the first time that you're kind of by yourself and fully in charge of what you're eating. Eventually, I lost that 15 pounds and actually for the first time in my life, got really skinny. There were a few reasons why I got really skinny, some of them healthy, some of them not so healthy. One thing that did change was when I had lived on my own for a little while, I decided to go vegan from being a vegetarian. So I was vegetarian for about 10 years. And then when I started living on my own and cooking for myself, I knew that I eventually wanted to cut out dairy and eggs. And that was one thing that I did during this time of my life when I got skinny, because it kind of happened on accident, I feel like. Obviously, there's learning curves to when you're cutting things out of your diet. And I definitely didn't do things the right way. On top of losing maybe 25 pounds, I also was bruising really easily. I was losing my hair, and I had to deal with that for a little bit of time while my body was readjusting to being a vegan. Obviously, now I'm healthy, I'm happy, and it is possible to become a vegan, side note, without any of these ailments happening to you. You just have to make sure that you do it the right way. But on top of that, I was also in a really unstable and unhealthy relationship that was causing me a lot of stress at the time. So I wasn't eating as much as I was before. And actually, one of his favorite places to talk to girls was at the gym. So I developed a newfound love for the gym so that I could spy on my boyfriend talking to girls. Ugh, how unhealthy is that? I can't believe younger Rachel and the shit she put up with. But all of that to say, both the healthy and the not so healthy ways that I lost a lot of weight and became skinny, suddenly I was getting a lot of external validation. Friends that hadn't seen me in a few years were telling me how great I looked. People would come up to me and, ask me out on dates. Guys would notice me, and it just felt really good to finally feel seen, like I mattered. Both of my parents saw me during this stage of my life and said, Rachel, you're too skinny. You need to gain weight again. But it felt like my body was one of the only things that mattered to people. It mattered to my parents. It mattered to my friends and guys that I was getting all of this attention from. It mattered to me because I was living almost a new life as a new confident person. I placed so much emphasis around my weight. So when we fast forward a few years into my life, I eventually gained back a lot of weight. I think at my lowest around this time of my life during college, I was maybe 120 pounds, and at my highest, 180. I remember specifically during COVID, stepping on a scale at a friend's apartment and seeing the number that came up and just crying my eyes out at how much I had let myself go. And it really hurt because I knew what it was like to be skinny, and I knew the attention I was getting and how good I felt and how confident I was. And I knew that I wasn't that confident anymore now that I had gained all of this weight. And it felt really disheartening that I may never get back to that version of myself that was so confident, because she was tied to how much I weighed. The reason that this episode is airing now is for two different reasons. One being that I recently told my dad that I wanted to lose some weight. And I was like, okay, I feel like I want to lose 30 pounds, blah, blah, blah. And my dad is like, oh my God, how much weight are you starting at that you want to lose 30 pounds? And so I told him, and he goes, Rachel, there are football players and basketball players who weigh nearly as much. Like, you're really getting up there. And this would have sent me in such a shame spiral if this had happened to me, if my dad had made these comments such a long time ago. But honestly, I've gotten to a point where what he says, and really what anyone says about my body, goes in one ear and out the other, because I've learned that they are projecting some insecurity of their own on me, and it actually has nothing to do with me. But also, that is such a goddamn exaggeration. My dad is a pretty small guy. He probably weighs somewhere near 120 pounds, 5'10". So he doesn't actually probably know how much football players and basketball players weigh, but it is such an exaggeration. If you follow me on Instagram, you know what I look like, and I'm nowhere near as large as a football player. Thank you very much. But in conjunction with that, the other reason that this episode came to mind is because today was the first nice day we've had in LA in a while. It was 85 degrees out. So I knew that I wanted to go lay by the pool. And I put on a bikini that I have not worn since college. And I was like, okay, this is probably not going to fit right, but it's cute. I really just want to wear this one. And the bottoms were a little bit small, but the top fit fine. And I remember looking myself in the mirror today thinking, God damn, I am the sexiest woman alive. And not even a week before, my dad made comments about my weight. So it just goes to show how far I've come in my self-love journey. And since summer is around the corner, I wanted to share some of my tips with you all here today. Our first segment of today's episode is not just embracing your body, but taking it one step further and also celebrating your body. It's essential that we First, reframe how we view our bodies. Your body is truly a sacred vessel, a temple, if you may, that carries your spirit through life's adventures. There's a quote going around on Instagram: I am a soul having a human experience. And that is completely true. Our bodies are the one thing that carry us through this entire journey of our lives here on earth. Think about how small you were as an infant versus where you're at today. Your body is the same body, and it will continue to be the same body as you go through life. Women, especially, our bodies go through so many different changes throughout our life, from the time we're a child to hitting puberty, to our second puberty, as they call it, in our mid-20s, to having babies and getting pregnant, to then getting older. Our bodies change and evolve constantly, but it's one of those things that is always going to be with you. My hands are always going to be my hands. My ears are always going to be my ears. So there's really no use in hating something that I have from the moment I step on this earth to the moment I leave it. We can reframe our body image in a few different ways that are not tied to our weight at all. The first is that we can practice gratitude for our bodies. Start every day by expressing gratitude for your body and its capabilities. Instead of thinking about how your body physically looks, tall, short, fat, skinny, whatever it might be, instead look at all of the wonderful things that your body does for you. While you might not feel good enough in the body that you were given, there are actually people out there that are praying for a body like yours. A body that looks like yours, a body that is as healthy as yours, a body that is as young as yours. Instead of spending time wishing away the beautiful body that you were given, let's find ways to celebrate it by expressing gratitude for the things our body does for us. My body naturally wakes me up in the morning, and I'm able to stand on my 2 feet and greet each day healthy. My body tells me when it's hungry, when it's tired, when it's dehydrated. My body breathes, my heart beats. All of these things we take for granted are things that our body is constantly doing for us every single day, that is keeping us alive. Be kind to your body. Say thank you for all of the wonderful things that it does for you that you might not even realize. There are a lot of people out there that love affirmations, and I am not one of them. However, I can think of a few affirmations that I say to myself on the daily because I genuinely believe in them. So my second way to reframe your body image is to celebrate your unique features. So let's pick out a few examples of things on your body that you love the way that they look. Personally, I love my eyes. I have big green eyes, and they have these cute little freckles in them that make them so unique. I love my eyes. And the second feature that I love about myself is my nails/fingers. I have really big hands, and at first I was really insecure about them. But because I have such long fingers, I also have really long nail beds and long nails. So I am very meticulous about always having a fresh manicure so that every time I look down at my nails, I am in love with this part of my body. The idea with finding things that you already love about yourself is not to train your brain into thinking that you love parts of your body that you already don't. It's easiest to start with low-hanging fruit. So the affirmations that I like to say to myself are, Rachel, you have the most beautiful eyes. Rachel, you have the most feminine hands. And then eventually from there, every time I look in the mirror, my eyes are naturally gravitating towards those parts of my body that I love, that I've given love. And then it's so easy for me to look at other parts of my body and feel just as much love. because I'm already vibrating on the frequency that is love. And my last way that you can learn to celebrate the body that you're in is actually to celebrate other people's bodies. Chances are, if you have a negative body image, that you've likely been fed ideas that your body is not good enough from either your parents or other influences in your life, from the media, from friends, from previous relationships. But all of those beliefs are not actually coming from you. They're coming from all of these influences around you. So those voices in your head that are telling you that you need to lose 5 pounds, or that you need to gain a little bit of muscle, or that maybe you shouldn't eat that extra cookie because it's going to go right to your hips, those voices are probably someone else's that have just taken home in your mind. Sometimes through really no fault of your own, if you have judgments about yourself and your body and the way you look, chances are you probably have judgments about other people in the way that they look as well. But a lot of the times it is easier for us to give other people compliments than to give it to ourselves. For me personally, being raised by a mother with body dysmorphia, she always had something to say about someone's weight. And so those beliefs not only went into my mind and about what I thought about my own weight, but also the judgments that I passed on other people and their weight as well. But when I started challenging these thoughts and ideas and not claiming them as my own, but instead finding something that is beautiful about every single person that I came across, that's when I started to see the beauty in myself as well. By no means am I saying that you actually have to go up to people and give them compliments. I am an introverted girly at heart, but we can practice this by simply stating one thing positive about people that we see in our daily life, just in our heads. You'll notice that when you're kinder to other people, especially about their appearance, you're also going to start being kinder to yourself. Let's transition for a moment into the second topic of today's episode, which is how to improve your relationship with food. As I mentioned before, I've had a really complicated relationship with food pretty much all throughout my life, except for pretty recently. And the first thing that I did in order to change my relationship to be more healthy around food was recognize what my beliefs were and then start to shift those beliefs. So I want you to first off start by examining the current beliefs that you hold about food. A lot of us often have negative beliefs or guilt surrounding foods that can lead to unhealthy eating habits. I mentioned before that my mom was a health nut and we never had any snacks in the house. But on Wednesdays and Fridays, when I would go have dinner with my dad, I would be sure to always eat desserts and chocolate with him because I knew I wouldn't be getting them with my mom. While this might seem like a good balance, it actually instilled the belief in my head that I had to be sneaky about what I was eating if I was eating something that was not healthy. And this idea of sneaking around to have a chocolate instilled a scarcity mindset in me. As a kid, having that chocolate was really special and I didn't know when I would have it again. And so I would often overindulge. Now, as an adult, I've had to challenge and reframe that belief. And I've also had to affirm that food can be nourishing, but also it could be healing. It could be joyous. It could be supportive of my well-being. It could be supportive of my mental health. Not everything needs to be healthy in order to be balanced. And that is ultimately what helped me have a joyful relationship with food instead of one that was restricting. Before, my mindset about food was that certain food are bad or off limits, and that scarcity mindset around not knowing when the next time I would get a certain food was. But there are tons of other limiting beliefs that people have about food, such as eating healthy is expensive. I deserve punishment for eating bad foods. Eating less will make me healthier. I'm addicted to sugar, carbs, food, whatever. I can't control my eating. These are all limiting beliefs. And by challenging these limiting beliefs, we can start to cultivate a healthier mindset around food and balanced eating habits. So I want you to think about, what beliefs first do you hold about food, and what beliefs can you replace those beliefs with that are empowering and supportive and foster a more positive relationship with food. My second tip here to fix your relationship with food is to practice mindful eating. So what I mean when I say mindful eating is slowing down during meals, savoring each bite, paying attention to the flavors and the textures of your food, really reconnecting with your body, your hunger levels, and your fullness cues. There's a lot of people, myself included, who eat majority of their meals in front of a TV. And while this is a great way to stay entertained, it might not be the most healthy regarding where to eat, because we're not paying attention to the foods that are entering our bodies. I used to be able to put on a TV show, sit down with a bag of chips, and polish off the entire thing before the show had even ended, because I wasn't really paying attention to the food that I was eating. Mindful eating is probably one of the most important parts of having a good relationship with your body and with food, because it fosters that mind-body connection. Hopefully, we all know by now that a big part of tapping into your feminine energy is reconnecting with your body. So if you are connected to your body, you're listening to the cues that your body is giving you. If you're hungry, if you're thirsty, if you're full, if you want an extra serving of whatever you just had. For example, if I'm in my luteal phase and I'm about to start my period, my body is craving chocolate, and I don't feel bad about eating a candy because I'm listening to my body. It's not something that I have on a daily basis, but if during this one time of the month, eating chocolate is what my body wants, I'm going to make her happy. There might be other times when I've maybe had a few social events and have gone out to eat for a few different meals, and all my body really wants is a nice homemade salad. You don't need to be so restrictive of what you're eating if you're just listening to your body. Some other food-related cues that your body could be giving you are if you're breaking out in acne. There might be some imbalance in your gut, and it's time to eat a little bit cleaner. If you get really tired after meals, maybe you're eating too much. If you get hungry right after you just ate, maybe you're not getting enough protein. I don't want to encourage any sort of food journals here, but I do want you to take note of what you're eating and how you feel after you eat that. And not every meal needs to be the most nutritious. Sometimes we can eat things for the good feeling of them, but also I want you to pay attention to how you feel after and make that mind-body connection a really positive one. My last tip for transforming your relationship with food is to sort of visualize and pray over your food or set an intention. A lot of us have heard of visualization techniques to manifest our dream life, but actually this can be used to create a positive relationship with food. I love cooking and spending hours perfecting a meal, but even more than that, I love the intention setting that comes after I've just spent time and energy making that food. I feel gratitude that I'm able to spend this time with myself in the kitchen and that I have all of the ingredients that I need to make a beautiful meal. I set the intention that this food will make me feel good, not only physically in my body, but also emotionally as I eat it. And I visualize myself enjoying the food and the nutrients in my food nourishing the cells of my body. By setting my intention and using visualization, I'm manifesting what I want to happen as and after I eat this food. I'm expressing gratitude for the food, and I'm slowing down to show myself love and compassion as I eat. We're nearing the end of today's episode, but before I go, I want to leave you with a few tips on how to become your healthiest self. We've talked a lot today about how to cultivate a loving relationship with your body, but it all starts with aligning your thoughts with health and vitality. We know the power of our thoughts, and I'm always encouraging you to align with the highest level self, and today is no exception. I want you to visualize yourself as strong, as energized, as radiating vitality, and being who you were meant to be. So get super clear on what the highest level version of yourself looks like, what it feels like, what that person eats like, and start aligning your thoughts and behaviors with whatever that person is. Throughout this journey, I want you to embrace a nurturing, feminine approach to self-care that prioritizes your self-love and acceptance. Treat your body with kindness by engaging in activities that you love, such as regular exercise, take walks, cook nourishing meals, get adequate rest. I want you to really infuse your self-care ritual with taking care of the feminine side of you as well. Get enough sleep, get enough sunlight, take care of your hair, your skin, your nails. Give yourself grace and compassion, and be open to receiving love from yourself. And lastly, probably one of the hardest things to do, but in order to get healthy, we need to stop comparing ourselves to others that we see online or celebrities that we see in the media. Instead, focus on who has a positive relationship in your life. This could be friends, it could be family members, it could be coworkers. Spend more time surrounding yourself with positive influences. It could be, this process looks different for everyone. It could be cutting off people who have negative things to say about your body. It could be following body positive accounts on social media, or listening to podcasts or reading books that promote self-love. But I want you to start to cultivate an environment and surround yourself with supportive people who celebrate you. As we wrap up today's episode of the Dangerously Divine podcast, I want to thank you all for joining me here today. This was a really vulnerable story, so I thank you for giving me a platform and a place to share this. I genuinely hope that this has been a helpful episode and will help you embrace your body and nurture your health the way that you should. Remember, your body is a sacred vessel worthy of love and respect. You cannot hate yourself into a body that you're proud of. If you found today's discussion to be helpful, I invite you to support the show by leaving a rating on Spotify or a review on Apple Podcasts. I'd also love it if you could share this episode on your Instagram stories. Your feedback is so incredibly valuable and helps me reach more beautiful souls such as yourself. Also, you can stay connected with me on Instagram at I am dangerously divine. I post daily inspo, I share about upcoming episodes, and talk about everything feminine energy. So let's continue this conversation and empower each other over on Instagram. Thank you again for being a part of this community. And until next time, I'm Rachel, and thank you for joining me on the Dangerously Divine podcast.